am I correct? This is the first money that PG&E has actually agreed to pay out of the 2017 and 2018 fires.
Yeah, that we're aware of. We don't know of 100% of the work that PG&E is doing, but as far as we're concerned, the public entities are the first to agree with PG&E with regards to the amount of the claims in the bankruptcy. And so that includes 14 cities, counties, and special districts, all for a collective total of $1 billion. And we are one of 3 different groups in the bankruptcy. So it's local government, it's individuals, and it's insurance companies subrogating on the claims that they've already paid out to private citizens. But we're of the strong belief that because PG&E filed a voluntary Chapter 11 reorganization, once it settles its wildfire claims, it can get out of bankruptcy pretty quickly.
Yeah, and in fact, that was the rationale for going bankrupt in the first place.
That was it. Other than that, they are a very large multi-billion-dollar company. The last 10 years, they've made $1.1 billion in net revenue per year. They have 16 million captured customers. They are guaranteed an 8 to 10% profit by the 5th largest economy in the world. And so other than these wildfire claims, they're a very healthy company.
Yeah. How much more might they have gotten was it not tied up in bankruptcy court and they were forced to negotiate like this?
Yeah, that's an impossible question. That's not something we could ever answer because it's a hypothetical in a different universe at this point. But we do feel that the bankruptcy resolution is fair. And we do think it's important that it's fair and expeditious because in order for our clients to receive the money, PG&E has to come out of the bankruptcy first. And in time value of money and in the importance of timing the restoration or the recovery of a community, timing is everything.
Those 14 government agencies, how much do they think they lost versus the $1 billion?
Yeah. So a lot of that is an amount of money that will be known and yet to be known moving into the future. We do think that this is a resolution that will fairly compensate them. There might be disagreements between local government and PG&E as to how much the value of the claims are, and that's part of our natural adversarial process.
Right.
But the local governments won't know the full extent of their claims but for many years. But this is a way to compensate these local governments in a fair resolution that gets pretty close to what they might get in a bankruptcy, or I'm sorry, in a resolution outside of bankruptcy.
What is the damage that this $1 billion is meant to make good for?
Yeah, this is really for taxpayer losses. So that includes any government-owned property, any government productive assets like cars, streets, sidewalks, signs, trees, public parks, conservation easements, water, sheds, reservoirs, everything that you think of in terms of government, including services themselves when these governments are deployed to respond to all of these wildfires, that all takes taxpayer resources and taxpayer money. And so when our economists go in and look at all of those different categories of monies that are spent responding to the wildfire or property lost as a result of the wildfire, then we come up with a number and engage in the mediation process. Yeah, you know, there are 20,000 families who have lost their homes due to wildfires in the last 2 years that are being alleged against PG&E as the cause and origin of the fire. And so in any case, whether it's a wildfire case or not, trying to manage those 20,000 families, their claims, their property damage claims, their emotional distress claims, their wrongful death claims, and all the claims that they might have is certainly a large task, and it is something that's going to take some time, but I know that the lawyers working on it are very, very good, and I'm sort of bullish that there is an opportunity for a resolution in the future. What they're doing here in this resolution is acknowledging that we've alleged claims and that we have claims, and that they've also acknowledged that they dispute those claims. But as a matter of the dispute resolution, we come up with a compromised amount of money that both sides think is fair and reasonable, or maybe they both don't think it's fair and reasonable, but in this case we do think it's fair and reasonable. And they resolve those claims in order to buy peace and move on. I think that's one of the things that our local government clients are really interested in, is that there is a moment in time when everybody needs to decide what's in the best interest of the community. And for civil lawsuits, oftentimes what's in the best interest of the community is coming up with a resolution and moving forward into the future.
what are the steps between this settlement being agreed to today and actually getting a check cut to these local governments for the damage they received?
Yeah. So I'll start at the back end, and essentially PG&E has to be out of bankruptcy in order to pay any of these resolution claims. In order for them to get out of bankruptcy, a bankruptcy judge has to approve or confirm a plan, a debtor's plan. And this is a plan that's supposed to lay out how they're going to make things work over the next 5 years financially. Once they submit that plan and the judge approves that plan, then PG&E can come out of Chapter 11 reorganization and pay the victims the amount that is in accordance with that plan that they submitted. Between now and the time that they submit the plan, I think that there should be efforts between the other two groups, subrogating insurance companies and individuals, to resolve those claims. If all three groups can resolve those claims, submitting a plan for the bankruptcy judge to consider will be much easier to do. Question of how much PG&E has in cash is going to be a question of all of the sophisticated things that finance professionals do. You can borrow, you can structure settlements in particular ways, and you can stretch those payments out over time. And then you can also borrow and pass through, or borrow and eat the cost. So there's a lot of things that need to occur, I think, on PG&E's side, and I think they're probably working on those things right now. Could this bankruptcy last 3 years? Absolutely. Could it last longer? Sure. However, because they went into bankruptcy due to their wildfire liabilities, we believe strongly once they resolve those wildfire liabilities, they'll be able to come out quite quickly. Then PG&E can focus entirely on safety and mitigation rather than this bankruptcy and rather than the claims from the wildfire victims. This is going to be a recurring annual issue that unless local communities, PG&E and IOUs, and state government, and the investment community, unless all of those communities work together, and that includes ratepayers, and that includes victims, unless everybody truly works together, not just gives lip service to working together, unless they truly work together, it's going to be Groundhog Day around here, because we're going to keep waking up and being flabbergasted at the idea that these fires continue